Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Versus, where I take two different whiskeys, pit them head to head, and let you know which one deserves that coveted spot on your whiskey shelf. Tonight I have the Jack Daniel's Bonded versus the Jack Daniel's Triple Mash. Now these both came out earlier this year and I'm dying to get to them, but I want to tell you that I have a sponsor for the first time in a long time on this channel, and it's a site that we've all actually probably used, Distiller. They've just put out a brand new app, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later in the episode, but you can track, you can compare, you can look up different whiskeys, do that little thing where we're all in a store and we're wondering whether something's actually a decent deal or not, and we're Googling it. This thing makes it a lot easier, and I thought it was a cool thing to represent on the channel. So let's go ahead and talk about these two different whiskeys and see where they're at. Jack Daniel's Bonded Tennessee Whiskey is basically their traveler's exclusive, finally coming to the shelf and changed around a bit for American palates. It's aged for at least 4 years, it's bottled at 50% ABV, has a mash bill of 80% corn, 12% barley, 8% rye. It's twice distilled before the Lincoln County process, and its MSRP is about $35. Jack Daniel's Triple Mash is not a Tennessee whiskey, but is instead a blended straight whiskey comprised of 60% Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye, 20% Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey, and 20% Jack Daniel's New American Malt. It's 50% ABV and its MSRP is $39. These bottles are quite a bit different, but since they both came out at the same time from the same distillery, it seems worth it to do a versus. Something that's really cool about these bottles though is this is an older style of bottle from 1895 that you haven't seen in a while, and I just thought that was worth mentioning. It's just like a little throwback to history. It does not look like a normal Jack Daniel's No. 7 or even the rye bottles. All right, let's start with the Bonded here. So we're gonna go ahead and give this a nose. Now, Jack Daniel's has a very classic nose and taste just note that you're going to get no matter which expression you're drinking, other than like the rye. But to me, I always taste banana. And I think it's a combination of just how sweet Jack Daniel's is and something to do with the Lincoln County process. So when I smell this, like I'm obviously getting oak. Actually, I'm getting leather too, and kind of like this musty corn. But then past all that, I get this extremely sweet banana mixed with kind of like a creaminess that lends itself to like a banana yogurt or maybe like a banana ice cream, something like that. That reminds me of that. So let me know in the comments, do you guys typically get banana on the nose? I think it's a very common thing in Jack Daniel's. I know it is for me, but let me know if there's anything other than just the banana, or if you're like interpreting it as something different. Let me know in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. All right, so vanilla for sure, oaky, actually very heavily oaked, which is interesting. It's kind of like a deeper flavor. Like, I don't expect that this is heavily oaked. I mean, obviously it's charred, whatever, but it's not like this is a 10 or like 12-year-old bourbon, but it is pretty heavy on the oak, so that's interesting. The banana comes through towards the end. It's not as sweet as it was on the nose, but it's definitely there. I lose a bit of that creaminess, but I keep the banana. So oak, banana, leather. It's Swedish, Swedish, not Swedish, but sweetish. So and overall, it just kind of tastes like a better version of Jack Daniel's, or more specifically, a less good version of the Jack Daniel's barrel proof. Not the single barrel proof, but like the barrel proof. It's almost like if you took that and just made it less, that would be this, which is probably true. So, pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and try the Triple Mash. So the smell on this one is not as prevalent as the Bonded. Even though they're both the same ABV, this one I would guess would be lower just based off the nose. It doesn't burn, it doesn't have a very strong smell. But what it does smell like, it's very different. It's got kind of these deeper, darker notes, but more specifically like, I'm gonna be more specific than this, but like dark fruits, right? Like plums, cherries, maybe raspberries, like a little bit, but not really, like a little bit. Figs, maybe. I need to eat a fig again sometime soon. I feel like I'm forgetting exactly what figs taste like, but figs. I don't know what this tastes like, but that, yeah. All right, we'll go with it. All right, so on the smell, that's mostly it. All right, let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. Okay, so the Jack Daniel's banana flavor is kind of creeping in a little bit, but for the most part, This one actually drinks a lot more like, doesn't drink like water. It's 50% ABV, but it is far less flavorful than the Bonded, at least on that first sip. And I'm going to take another sip before I call this one. But the initial impression I get is like, wow, that's gone already. There's almost no finish. So let's go ahead and have another taste. Okay, letting it hang around in my mouth a little bit longer, you get like some of those darker fruit notes. So you get like the plum for sure. I'm getting like a little bit of oak spice on the finish. This one's harder to nail down. The banana flavor is actually almost gone. It came through a lot more on the nose than it ever did on the taste. I would say maybe black cherry is coming through here. Like, the thing to know is that the triple mash, as opposed to the Bonded in this case, it's more fruity than this one is more oaky. So that's interesting. But with the Bonded, there's really just nothing offensive about this, which is not necessarily like a praiseworthy thing. But what I see this more as is something that I would make like a killer cocktail with. I don't think I'm really necessarily going to be hyping this one up around my friends and saying like, you need to try this. It's like every bit that Jack Daniel's can do, because I'm going to just pick the single barrel, or probably just the regular barrel proof. This one is fine though, and especially when you consider the price, that's definitely where its benefit is. I feel like if Jack Daniel's wasn't making this would probably be like a $50 bottle, and the reason for that is just because I think it's good, but Jack Daniel's has so much in store that it can kind of make these things at lower costs. So I think that's interesting. And now when I talk about the triple mash, this is an interesting one because it seems as if the master distiller and the assistant distiller, Chris Fletcher and Lexi Phillips, they were actually storing away American single malt for a while in their warehouses trying to make this. And eventually they ended up blending these things together and giving them time to get to know each other and whatever else. And then they put that out. And now, funny thing, in November of 2022, they put out a full proof American single malt. So it makes sense. They were testing the waters with this one, and I think that they just were like raring to go on releasing the other one. So I think we're going to see more from Jack Daniel's as far as the single malts go in the near future. One more thing that I did was actually adding water to both of these, because I think, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, these are both cocktail mixers, and how are they going to hold up to ice or just other things? These both tasted a little weird when I added water to it. It did not accentuate the flavor, especially the triple mash. I don't know what to explain, but if you happen to have this bottle, add some water to it and see what you think. Maybe I'm crazy, but I usually am not. So usually. So let's go ahead and give kind of this overall here, like what am I picking? What am I doing? And then actually I'm going to use the Distiller app to go check out what other people have said about these two whiskeys and see how on point I am and see what they think. So between these two, here's what I'm thinking. I would see both of these as being some sort of a mixer. I don't think I'm going to be bringing either one of these to a party and saying, hey guys, check it out, like Jack Daniel does something other than number 7 and Gentleman Jack. I'm going to probably ignore both of these for a long time. Eventually I'll, pick a little bit apart with each one. I'll make a cocktail here or there and they'll eventually disappear. I don't see myself rebuying either one of these bottles, but I have to pick one. And I'm going to pick the Bonded, because I think this one is at least a solid product that I'm just not super interested in, whereas this one was kind of an experiment, which I don't think that they nailed. And that's my general reasoning for it. So I'm going with the Bonded as the winner, and I think I would love to hear what you guys think if you've had both of them together. So let's see what other people thought. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this app here. So if you look here, I've already kind of looked up the triple mash before, so I'm just gonna give you a quick little overview here. If you've never used this app before, the UI is way nicer. It's just kind of got like more space. It's one of those things, like the first app was utilitarian. This one looks like it was designed, So if you look here, you've got Jack Daniel's Triple Mash, blended American whiskey. Tells you everything you need to know. It's a 3.61 according to Distiller. Banana sweet and spicy, so you get a quick little flavor profile and a description of the whiskey, as well as, and I like this, the expert notes up at the top. If you're in a store and you scan this thing, and we'll go over the scanner in a sec because it's way better than it used to be. If you look in here, you can read these expert notes. It'll take you 30 seconds and you can know if that's something that's going to be in line with what you want. So A couple of other metrics about it. You could also read some more reviews, and it gives you suggestions of other things you might like if you like this, which is super useful. Of course, having Old Forester Birthday Bourbon 2020 in there isn't particularly useful, but can't blame them for, I mean, you probably would like it. I can't imagine that you wouldn't. All right, so I could either go into what are you searching for, and I could type something in, or we can use the scan feature here, which I really like. So let's go ahead and look up the Jack Daniel's Bonded. All right, so it finds it right away. You go in here, you click on this, you're gonna see the same kind of page before, so I won't spend too long on here, but 3.56, so less people actually like the Bonded, which is interesting. Same idea, description, there's not as many reviews, there's no expert review on this one, which is actually also helpful to know, because now I know I gotta go into the reviews and go look around. And there are ways to filter things, so you could sort it by newest, text, chat, cost, etc., etc. So, I think this new app is very cool. Actually, it's a huge improvement over the last one, so if it's something that you're into, check this out. There's really no other apps like this, and I think that they did a good job, because it certainly doesn't have to be a lot to be the top of the market, but they still took it over the top and redid the UI, and it looks so much better. Now, I'm not expecting anything stellar here, because frankly, this contains this, but what I'm thinking is this is going to take some of those darker fruit notes and then make them more oaky. And I'm kind of excited about that. I'm hopeful that it might taste good. So let's go ahead. It's actually, the nose on this has improved considerably from the triple mash because of the Bonded. It is much heavier and much more full-bodied on the nose here. Caramel's coming through quite a bit more. Very sugary, actually less banana, which is interesting. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Cheers. It actually did exactly what I said. Ooh, the finish on that's much better. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, man, if you own both of these bottles, mix them together. That's way better than either one of them together. Like, maybe they just needed to up the percentage of this in this, and that would have made it a lot better. Anyway, the taste is heavy caramel, heavy oak, a bit of banana, very sweet, some plum, some cherry, and caramel. What more could you want in a bourbon, right? Anyway, all right, cool. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary for another Versus. So go ahead and download the Distiller app. It's really, really nice, and it's only going to get better. I've actually already given them some suggestions for new features. For those of you that don't know, I'm a director of software engineering. Like, I know software, and I know apps, and I know just everything having to do with the web. So when I test, I actually used to do freelance testing. So when I got the offer to check this thing out in the beta, I was like all about it, right? So I really enjoyed this thing, and I put it through its paces. It's gonna be good. Check it out. Let them know I sent you. If you like it, then let me know that you liked it. And if you own these two things, mix them together. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. Cheers.